and welcome in, guys. Just so you know, I have had to take my top off and dress my computer up like a little man because it was overheating while I was doing these messages. So trust me, this is not some sex appeal thing. I bleed with the full moon, and I am bloated and definitely not feeling super sexy right now. However, I did want to come out and get some sunshine. So here we are out in nature, enjoying the sun, but also the Queensland heat. So it is like, it doesn't even feel like it's starting to cool off yet. It was like 33, 34 degrees. But the back of my computer was like, my videos kept shutting down because the computer was overheating. So the computer, just like to touch it, was like hurting my hands. So that's why I had to sort of dress them up. Okay, I'm reading Double Blind again. I really enjoyed doing that last for the new moon. And so I'm going to do it for the full moon. So we are moving into a Gemini full moon. We have the Forest card, the Shadow card, and the Offering. Okay. So the Forest card came up last reading, and I spoke a little bit about not being able to see the forest for the trees. Sorry, I think I might have a ant on my back. Okay. So not being able to see the forest for the trees means not being able to see one instance of something as being part of a broader group that it belongs to, right? So I can't really think of any examples right now. So I'm actually just going to move right into a shadow card here, because we've got the shadow as the middle card here. See if we can get a better understanding of what aspects for this collective they are. Okay, I am going to take this one. Okay, we've got the wounded child. It says healing trauma makes the world feel safer. So, right, okay. All right, now I'm getting some downloads here. Okay, so everybody has childhood trauma, all right? Let's not, sort of act like some people are better than others. And some people, we all have childhood trauma. It's just that our current reality, like the system that we live in, I'm just going to tilt the screen a little bit because I do feel like lying down for this reading. All right. So I do feel like the system that we live in better supports some people through hiding those childhood traumas, right? So for example, like one of my coping mechanisms for my childhood trauma was to become super studious, because it was one of the only ways that I was able to garner respect from my father. And so that led into this like workaholic, over-giving, having super lofty goals. And that isn't type A personality stuff. And that isn't necessarily a bad thing when it's not coming from a fear perspective, right? It's okay to be excited about things and to want to do things if it's coming from a place of joy and not from a place of fear. So with this Forest cards, what I'm getting here is that this Gemini full moon is giving you an opportunity, and you will be getting blessings if you have been able to pick apart and understand how micro traumas are reappearing in your consciousness from the initial wounding. So that is the shadow work that is to be done. It's to see how, like a fractal, all of the sort of negative experiences that are drawn to us and are perceived through that wounded inner child's lens are part of the same story and perspective. Let's see what we have here with the offering. We have got the Three of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, which doesn't really seem like much of an offering to me, right? The Three of Swords is about absolute heartbreak and betrayal, and the Four of Swords is the minor resonance of the Four of Pentacles is the minor resonance of the Ten of Pentacles. The Ten of Pentacles is everything that we want, wish for, and hope for in a very expansive sort of way. It's expansive abundance. But the Four of Pentacles is holding on to what no longer serves you, or holding on to things that, because you fear that you aren't going to get what you want. So let's see what other cards we have here. We have got the Ace of Cups under the Forest. Emotional opportunities. The shadow work here is with the Three of Wands about some level of truth, right? But what's interesting is that it's sort of, we only really have, there is no future truth right now. There's only truth now, right? Truth doesn't exist in the past. Past perspectives of truth exist in the past, but truth only exists in the present moment. So there's an opportunity here with this shadow work to understand how rewriting your script, rewriting your understanding of those wounds allows you to move into a new space, a new pathway forward, so that you can manifest and have the things that you want in a new way. And the way to do that is going to be examining your emotions about certain things that have happened in your life. So one of the tools that you can use over the holiday and over the next month is picking apart and journaling the things that you consider to be like big events in your life, and how did those make you feel in the moment and then right now. And then also write about how you would like to feel about them in the future. Because often we get so sort of swept up in the forest that we're unable to see the bigger lesson at play, because we're not thinking about how we want to think about things in the future. We're only thinking about how we think about things right now. The next card that we have is the Seven of Pentacles. And that's really what I'm saying here, is that it allows us to plant new seeds. And those new seeds are this offering here for this new beginning. The Seven of Pentacles is also about that looking at what we've grown. Like in this card, he's planting the seeds. In most of the tarot, he's looking at what's grown and saying, like, was the juice worth the squeeze? Or like, am I we always reap what we sow, but am I happy with what I've sown based on what I've been reaping? But the offering here, and noticing the difference between how this Seven of Pentacles is depicted compared to the traditional Seven of Pentacles Rider-Waite card, it's saying that the offering here is to yourself so that you can have this new future by shifting your own perspective. Okay, let's get an oracle card here. I feel like this is like lazy tarot. Me just lying around in the sun, but I normally spend a lot of time outdoors. Like half of my year is spent outdoors. I am going to take this top card for you too. Like, this just really sang to me. And this is the card of the water. So I think that this is, and these are such beautiful cards. I don't know. I really don't feel like getting up. And it is called the Beyond Lemuria deck by Izzy Ivy. Take a look. Have a look online for this artwork. This water card is just beautiful, and it was sitting at the top of the deck, and it was just screaming to me that it was part of this reading. Like, this is mother, like the grandmother in the Hindu, in the Vedic philosophy, and she is the nurturer and the protector and the mother of all mothers. And it says, the being in the picture has many hands, and yet water falls through her fingers. It blesses her in the moments it touches her radiant skin and continues on its journey. Her heart is also overflowing with love. Her eyes are filled with tears. She gracefully allows what comes through to move her without control. So again, there is some aspect here of feeling through the pain with this Three of Swords and the Four of Pentacles. Like, there's something that's being hung on to, clasped onto, and it's not always easy to dig up or reconcile our childhood wounds and traumas. I have done some hypnosis therapy before, and like, a lot of this is not even in our memory. It's not even there for us to recall. So it's very hard to heal those deep-seated wounds. One of the tools that you can use if you say you only have memories and experiences from 6 years old, or even later, depending on your current age, to try to reflect back to a period of time. Like, how did I feel before I went to school? How did I feel during those early school periods? And to take a more generalized approach to that reflection. But like I said, how did I feel then? How do I feel about it now? And how do I want to feel about it in the future? Are the three really important ways that we can sort of stand here at the precipice of truth and transformation and work through those shadow issues. It says throat chakra, express your truth. And I do feel like, I'm really, really encouraging this collective to do this journaling exercise. It might take you 2 hours. It might take you 10 hours. It could take you 10 months if you wanted it to. It really depends on how much time you want to give to it. But even if you gave 20 minutes to it, just sitting down with a friend or a partner or journaling by yourself and picking the top 3 or 4 sort of hurtful things that have happened to you or transformational things that have happened to you. And again, saying, how did it feel in the moment? How do you feel about it now? How do you want to feel about it in the future? The throat chakra, it says this chakra is the origin of expression. It is the source of the life spark that inspires your aliveness and stokes the creative fire in others. This is the outer sharing of your inner being, the glowing song of your soul on the winds of your flight to understanding more of who you are. All right, who am I reading for? I am reading for Libra. All right, Libras, I hope you have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you further again throughout the holiday season and before the new year. When is our new moon? 4th and 14th, around the 18th, 19th. All right, so I will see you guys again, if not before, then on December 18th, 19th. See you then, Gemini. All right, on to our next sign. I am spending a bit of time outside because I have been very much cooped up doing some grant applications, and I need my outdoor time. I really do. It's like a soul thing for me. So we've got some cards here. They have turned up in reverse, and if they're all in reverse, then I'll flip them. So let's just see what happens here. Okay, so we have here the Queen, the empty room, and the stone. This is a really interesting interesting cards to pull. Right, so we've got here, this is almost like a backwards, right? The empty room and then the stone. Like that we're moving from a 4-point geometry here down into a 3-point geometry, and normally we would move things the other way. So the stone is obviously about setting things into stone. It's about grounding in perspectives, ideas. Looks like there are there's a couple of things in this card. I'm using the wild archetypes here, and I don't feel like getting up. So you can Google the cards online and have a closer look at the images. But it looks like there's an opal here at the center. And then it looks like another stone, which is like a blue-brown tiger's eye. But that eye also looks like a galaxy with a black hole or something in it. And so the message that I'm getting from this card is something about like that toroidal structure of nature, right? Like from the Big Bang to the end of the universe to the start of the universe again. And in indigenous culture, this is the whale dreaming, right? The whale, from the mouth to the tail, represents like the whole creation and destruction of the cosmos. So that's another thing that you can look up as well, whale dreaming in Australian Indigenous culture. The empty room is about losing and shedding our perspectives. It's about emptying what we think that we know, and to allow ourselves to start afresh. It's about having nothing and allowing nothing to be contained within you. So there's some level of like very opposite energies here that we're getting, right? Like from the void through the entire universe back to the void. And the Queen card here is sort of this moon. The Queen is a feminine energy. And the moon represents our emotions. And the lotus flower represents our connection to cosmic consciousness. The one thing that came to me was like that the Queen was sort of standing to one side of this. Oh. So there is a message here about meditation and how meditation can benefit this collective in coming back to their sense of self. So allowing them how to become receptive again, right? The feminine energy is the energy of receptivity. So how can the feminine collective become receptive to, I'm sure I've got hat head right now. I've been wearing this hat for like 5 hours. How can this feminine energy become receptive to transformation? And it's really asking them to meditate. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Let's just see if these are in reverse. Reverse, reverse, reverse. Okay, so they're all in reverse. Let's flip them all upright, because none of them were in reverse. Okay, we've got Judgment and the Page of Cups. The Page of Cups is a very innocent energy. It's a very naive energy. And Judgment here in this particular deck is essentially asking us with this door to, I'm seeing so many like portals and universes in this reading. And it's asking us to, let me find a hair tie here. It's asking us to open ourselves up to new emotional states of being by being able to go into this meditative state to allow for us to be able to get these crown chakra downloads. And like with the Page of Cups here being this new energy with the butterflies, the spark of new emotions, to allow we need to be meditating in order to have the emotional downloads that we need to move beyond the current shadow issues. So let's take a look at what those shadow issues are. Judgment again. Okay. I can talk quite a bit about this because I am a judger. I sit quite high in my Myers-Briggs in the judging rather than prospecting side of things. And it's the only dominant field that I have in my Myers-Briggs. I'm very close to 50-50 on internal, external, like introverted, extroverted. But I am way more of a judger than a prospector. Like, I think I'm like 64 to 74% judgment. So I'm trying to move that more towards this prospecting energy. And I'm doing that. Like, prospecting is being open to seeing things in new perspectives. It's moving beyond the challenges that we have in the fixed aspects of our chart to allow for more mutable energy and fluidity. The card says, when all sides are equal, the path of liberated wisdom appears. All right. We've got the Five of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Two of Swords. The Five of Pentacles, again, very much a card of being left out in the cold, about this could be our wisdom being taken for granted. And that being like a bit of a burden when our own wisdom is not acknowledged in a situation. Therefore, we have this very left out in the cold feeling because we aren't being acknowledged. There are some Pentacles cards here which, with the Queen card, we're being called into that receptive energy. And the Queen of Pentacles card is the card of very much being grounded and having stability. And it can mean having stability in our material. What's interesting in this deck is that it is the Queen of Pentacles card that is largely associated with the more positive aspects of the Empress. The Empress card in this deck is a very gluttonous card, right? She's like some very fat pig sitting on a blanket like this, stuffing herself down with food, which is what you normally expect from like a very misaligned Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles can be a very gluttonous person or quality when it's in its shadow aspect. You know, I'm getting, again, from reading this, old structures eventually need to be abandoned, right? We've got the empty room, the Queen of Pentacles sitting under the empty room. So the Queen having all of these baskets full, sitting under the empty room. And then we've got the stone, and the Two of Swords card here is like, in this card, the water has come up so close to this beach house that they have to abandon the beach house. He's got his swords here, he's got the red tape over the door, and he's leaving this structure. Something that was so solid and stable is being abandoned. So we've got a lot of very opposite sort of cards here. And again, I feel like part of what this story is about is understanding that they're like, not only is it not shameful to abandon preconceived notions, not only is it like, it's essential for new life to be able to give up old perspectives. With the swords here as thoughts, we've got the emotions here as well with the Page of Pentacles. And so to open ourselves up to new ways of feeling about things, we have to be able to judge them in new ways. With this Judgment card here calling for a reflection on multiple perspectives. So let's take a look at what sign this is. I'm just going to pull an oracle card, and then we'll look at what sign it is, and we'll read the oracle card. Let me get a single oracle card for this collective. Transformation. And we are reading for Virgo. Alright, Virgos, it says, go inwards and be present with wherever you are at in your process. Feel whatever you need to feel. It may be hard to be present with some parts of yourself. Bring them into a cocoon of gentle self-love and reflection. Insight will come. Shadows can be released. And your heart space will soften. Cry or be angry if this is what you are holding on to. And laugh at the ironic, divine perfection of it all. Journey beyond your constructed outer self, where you can delve into the beautiful abyss of your being. Revel in the twilight before the dawn, and let your wings unfurl. All right, Virgos. Yeah, very much this reading was saying that this full moon is an opportunity for you to go into that meditative state and to release those old ideas and perspectives that you have. And I do feel like you're going to get a lot of downloads. Like if you even take 30 to 90 minutes in meditation on the full moon, you're going to be in great nick for getting a lot of downloads and opening this door to emotional transformation. All right, Virgo, thank you so much for being here. I will see you guys in 2 weeks' time at the new moon. Moving along to our next collective. I am reading blind again for the full moon. I very much enjoyed reading the blind last month, and I actually spent more time with my own readings than I normally do. Like, I added my readings to my playlist, and I listened to the relevant ones for the Grand Water Trine for me, my Sun, Moon, and Rising. So I felt like I was taking more time for these readings to incorporate myself into the transformation rather than me just reading for the collective. Like, just reading for the collective is a valuable and like nice way for me to give back, but it would be wonderful if I could get something out of it myself, right? And when I'm reading, I'm largely not paying attention to what's going on because I am channeling and downloading and assimilating the messages here. So 2 cards that came out for this sign were the Ten of Wands and the King of Cups. And I do believe that these came out in the new moon reading. And it's very much about being guarded towards emotional states, right? Being so wounded or burdened by emotional, like something that you need to turn your emotional awareness to. And I'm not talking about intellectual awareness, I'm talking about emotional awareness. Because the intellectual aspect needs to be transformed here. This is something that is obvious to other people. These cards flipped up when I was shuffling them. So this is something that maybe other people are more aware of than you are. Okay, we have got the medallion. What is it that we're reaching for, and what is it that thing that we're reaching for means to us? What is the purpose behind the reaching? And does that reaching reflect our ethics and our values? Is it something that we want to be reaching towards? We've got arrows, which is about love and connection and passion. And we have the thread. Okay, well, I mean, I'm getting some messages here about like this emotional guardedness and being very emotionally closed off. And when we close ourselves off from things, it means that we're unable to process them. So then we end up with this thread here, which is why people undergo what they call cord cutting ceremonies or cord cutting rituals. It's because, the cord is there because of unprocessed emotions. And if we close ourselves off to processing those emotions continuously, then the thread remains. And the challenge here looks like not knowing which way to go with how we're processing through these emotions, with the Two of Wands card being the card of this or that. Okay. I'm gonna sit up here and let's get a shadow card here. The medallion card is often stuff that was given to us by our family. These cards wanted to come out together, so I'm going to take them together. Right, the medallion is like the family jewels. Can be read that way. We've got grief and reflection here as our shadow. Grief and reflection. Grief says opening a natural path to healing loss, and reflection is examining thoughts and feelings. What's really coming up for me for this collective is that this inability to decide is what's causing all of the grief, and the inability to process and reflect, right? We're getting the exact same messages here, like repeating themselves, and maybe I haven't really articulated it as well as I could have. So let me take a look and just see if there's... We've got the Five of Cups and the Six of Swords. The Five of Cups is a very, very sad and difficult situation. And the Six of Swords is a intellectual bridge to the other side of this deep crevasse here. The medallion here has become a burden with this Ten of Pentacles. So it tells me that something that has been propped up as a goal, as something shiny to reach towards, is causing a burden. And not knowing what to do about that burden is the sense of grief. I do feel like this is about some level of, we've got the arrows here and the King of Cups, so it's hard for me to not read it as some sort of love situation, or certainly a situation where a lot of emotions are involved. And it looks like there's like some level of discrepancy between what it is that you don't know what you want, because you haven't been able to process through the grief and reflect on your thoughts and feelings about the situation. I'm really at a loss for words of like what else to say here, and I'm really antsy. So it's just like, I think we're on my 6th sign, and I already did a previous 40-minute read, and all right, let's grab a oracle card for you. like the main thing that I keep getting for this collective is that you have to figure out what it is that you want. And you can only do that by exploring your grief. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and it was saying that, like, if we continue to have grief about something, it means that there's something left undone. There's something that's been left unsaid. And tie up the loose ends. Like, reflect on what it is that needs to happen and then make that happen for yourself. To move beyond this grief of indecision and to be able to cut the threads with things that no longer serve you. We've got here this furred and feathered friends. Animals are intuitive, sacred beings and the wisdom keepers of many earth traditions. They are some of our most loving companions and have much to teach us. Yet, the treatment of some species is appalling. As our empathy expands, we see other beings and the quality of their lives as interconnected and equal to our own. We may be inspired to align our actions with the compassion to minimize the harm that we do to the planet and her inhabitants. We also have this Sound of the Universe card, and it says, this card signifies these pivotal moments that transcend belief, remind us of a greater reality and influence, so that life will never be the same again. It symbolizes the sound of the universe. Having your world shaken up even a little can invite a closer glimpse of the great mystery of life. There are a myriad of ways to peek behind the veil of the mundane. Ecstatic dance, spiritual exploration, and creative pursuits are just a few. Aim to imbue this awareness in your everyday existence so that you can avoid the sudden wake-up calls. Listen for the music, harmony, and wonder of your multi-dimensional world. So this card does seem to be asking you to, if there is this level of creative blockage, to use art as a method for healing. Like, I'm almost frustrated with this reading and like antsy. We've got Aries here, our Aries collective. And there's no fire, right? Aries is a fire sign, and there's no fire in this reading. So this is potentially going to be a very challenging. What do we have? Aries, Taurus, Gemini. It's your second house. Or sorry, the other way. It's your 11th house. It's community. Yeah, again, this idea of family and community. It's your 10th house. You know, I am getting here like some like these are a lot of these are sort of like totem animals. But the other thing that I'm getting is like looking into the different nature of, like, with this medallion here, because again, this medallion is a card that very much talks about sort of reaching for, like, it can be like, you know, your father has a business and he wants you to work in that business, or your friends are saving to go on a trip next year and they want you to do the same trip as them, but you have other ideas. There's a challenge here and a burden that needs to be overcome. and it has to do with the emotional processing. So maybe you need to start looking at how different people in your life cause you this sort of, reflect on how their personalities bring you grief, and then to be able to process through that grief and have some understanding about what it is that you want to hold on to, because right now this thread is above this indecision card, and in this state of indecision there's no real moving from the 5 of Cups, which is a very sad emotional state, and here we've got burden, into the 6 of Swords, which is moving to the other side of the chasm. All right, Aries, I hope that this reading was helpful for you. I will see you guys again at the full moon, which will be, I suppose, around the 18th or the 19th. So enjoy this full moon and take the time to do, because the only doing cards that we had here was this Sound of the Universe card, and it's very much asking you to tap into your emotional feelings through music and art, and you know, I think for a lot of you, like it says Sound of the Universe, I think a lot of you it will be through music and lyrics and things like that, which are less active than what you would normally potentially participate in. Like maybe you're a gym goer, and the way that you work with energy or work through your emotions is by going and working out. But again, that's sort of this creating a goal to move you through things, rather than allowing the grief to come up so that it can be emotionally processed. All right, good luck, Aries. Wishing you all the best, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.